Okay, I think we're back. So basically what this is a story about a guy who basically is a serial killer, and he goes around killing all these people during the film. His wife finds out, this is her here, that he's doing this, and she figures that she's going to take him out, but on her terms. And she has the husband fooled, thinking that he got away with it and that she's just going to live her life with him. This is the detective who finally figures it all out, but that isn't until the end, the very end of the film. And let's play this back, because I don't think you guys heard that.
I found it.
It's blurred.
Some people are that way too.
Like it's 2 pennies. Like it's 2 pennies. Like it's 2 pennies.
So this is basically what this amounts to, is a tale of 2 pennies. The killer admits that he's basically has this obsession with double-struck pennies. And what that's a metaphor for is the 2 faces of Janus, the Gemini, the 2 sides. We all talked about the Gemini coin, the Janus coin. Remember that? That was a couple shows ago. I showed you the double-face coin that Paul Revere made of Janus. It was actually a triple-face coin that means past, present, and future. That's what this is really all about. So that's what's going on with this film called A Bad Marriage. And I don't know if you guys heard it, but a bad marriage, or a good marriage, is what it's called. AGM, the acronym backwards is MGA, kind of like MAGA. And definitely Stephen King knows something about this Lincoln Pennywise matrix and all these connections, and because these clues are throughout his work. With Stephen King's It, the Pennywise clown, he floats on helium, which is the Helios that we discovered. And we saw in Donnie Darko, his mother, Mary, who is played by Mary McDonald, basically is sitting in the opening of that film reading a Stephen King book, his It book, and she's in front of a trampoline. Trampoline represents weightlessness, and that dovetails into Helios and helium as well. So this bizarre theme of these 2 Lincolns is woven into film history at different times and places. So we're going to review this montage along with 2 others on today's show. I think we got the sound issues worked out. I just unplugged the mic. I don't know what's going on with, I'm not the mic, but I unplugged the headphones. I think it's a headphone short. But we're going to continue on with this.
I found it on yesterday's Pennies from Heaven blog. The guy who owns it has it listed for like, I don't know, $15,000, which is ridiculous. But I think I could get it for $9.
I think I could get it for $9. I think I could get it for $9.
I picked up 17 Lady Liberties at a good...
So obviously what they're talking about here is these double-struck coins, as I just said. And it's really 2 coins. It's not really 1. It's 2 trumps, not just 1. Now, Trump admits this. This isn't a big secret. He's admitted it, actually in his own words, that there are 2 trumps. And other people have taken notice of this. There's actually a really good channel out there. Gosh, I think I liked the videos. If you go into my liked videos on my channel here, you'll see that I liked this video maybe yesterday or the day before. And basically that channel outlines the 1988 Grammys, in which Michael Jackson sang Man in the Mirror. And during that Grammys, Billy Crystal mentions Trump's name. Now, I don't know if it was right before or after Michael Jackson sang Man in the Mirror, but there's something to this, and they all know it. That particular montage on that channel also mentions the Trump in the Mirror, the Saturday Night Live skit. That was on Blind 11 in like 2000, I can't remember what year that was, but he picked a very peculiar day to do that particular skit, that comedy skit on Saturday Night Live. And he was sitting looking at himself in the mirror. And so there's something to this. Now, film history likes to joke about these 2 Lincolns, and that's what we're going to get into today. Some of these montages are going to cover an array of different times in film history, different TV shows where they joke about two Lincolns or a Lincoln clone. But I don't think they're joking. I think this is real to some extent. I don't know how or why, but it is. So let's keep going with this.
No, great price.
Any luck finding the great lost penny?
No, not yet. But you know, all good things come to those who wait. I'm just a lousy coin collecting accountant. I can tell you how grateful I am for the second chance to be here to see all of this.
Now, this part's creepy because he's at his daughter's wedding. This is his daughter. And this family actually reminds me of the Trump family. There's two brothers, and then Ivanka. And then, so basically, this is like the Trump archetype in this film. And then it gets like inappropriate. The song playing in the background is actually a love song. And then you see him dancing with her as a little girl, which kind of sounds and looks a lot like how Trump was with Ivanka when she was little. There are a multitude of pictures. It's not just me saying that. It gives everybody the creeps.
Tell me you'll miss me while I'm alone, blue as...
Now, what's important to note are the pink balloons. And, of course, it's helium, right? But there's more to it. The pink, of course, is the adrenochrome. And you're going to see this repeated. I don't ever just put up part of a montage or a clip unless I get confirmation in another part of the film. And I do get confirmation. You're going to see a helium balloon used around the time of the Civil War. Watch. See how he moves his hand down? It's just weird. And he's got this strange look in his eye. And then he hands over his daughter to the husband. And he's got this creepy look, kind of like the creepy look Trump would get.
Found it in the change bear.
And there's the confirmation I got that my suspicions were correct about the balloons. You can't just put a clip up about a helium balloon, meaning that unless it's got some significance to the particular scene and it repeats later on in the film. As far as I can tell, this helium is the Pennywise demon. It's some kind of spirit, unfamiliar spirit, that is possessing these world leaders. Helium. Let's keep watching. Now there's more to the helium. Actually, these are hydrogen balloons, and these were used during the Civil War by Lincoln himself. This is basically when they got invented. I mean, the technology was there, but it basically came into more wide use during the Civil War. Lincoln would use these balloons to spy on the Confederate soldiers. They then came up with their own balloons, but their balloons, because of the blockade, they had to make them out of silk. And it's kind of weird because they picked this year, or actually it was last year, to make this balloon movie called Aeronauts. It's all about hot air balloons because they know something, right? How often do we get hot air balloon movies? Almost never. I can't remember the last hot air balloon movie we had. It's been a very, very long time. So obviously it's inspired by true events. I have not watched this movie, but I can almost guarantee you there'll be Civil War references in here. Maybe even a lot of copper, pennies, something. There's going to be all of that, probably. Let's keep watching.
Oh my gosh, how many years have you been searching for this?
Since I was 14 years old.
Now, the beginning of this film opens with this newspaper, and it's dated June 13th. That's the day before Trump's birthday. Remember, I always look for several confirmations before putting together a decode like this, so I just don't assume everything has to do with Trump. This is the day before his birthday. It's actually Jason Voorhees' birthday, who was also born in the same year Donald Trump was born. We're going to be decoding Friday the 13th. I think that's tomorrow afternoon. There's Jason Voorhees, and of course, Trump. Now, if you think that's weird and a stretch, understand that the very first Friday the 13th film released the day before Trump's mother's birthday. So, another reason I put together this montage is because there's a Superman connection. Trump just called himself Superman. And this is LaPaglia, is the name of the actor who plays the serial killer in A Bad Marriage, or A Good Marriage. Sorry, I keep saying A Bad Marriage because it is a bad marriage. And basically, he has this fascination with Superman. He played the voice of Lex Luthor in the cartoon series, which you're going to see in a second here. And here he is at the premiere of Man of Steel with his wife. They're no longer married. They were married 17 years. Let's watch. Now, I want you to listen carefully. Now, this is Anthony LaPaglia's voice playing Lex Luthor. And you're going to hear everything we talked about, electromagnetism, time travel, all of that is mentioned by Lex Luthor here.
Welcome to the new world. Lay down your weapons and you won't be hurt. I'll be moving into the White House later today. I'll make my formal declaration then.
Twin buildings, twin pennies, Trump Tower and IBM Tower. They're twin buildings. One just looks a little different than the other.
Little clouds of possibility. Everything's connected. It's so obvious.
Uncle Lex?
The fundamental forces are yoked by consciousness.
And I woke up the next morning and I felt like Superman.
Every one. And this is how he sees things all the time. Together. It's a cruel joke. The mechanistic clockwork of reality hinging on a precious, impossible defiance of entropy.
Hours.
Relative to us, he just figured out how everything works.
I saw everything! I saw how to save the world.
Gravity warps time. Superman trapped me in a relativistic conundrum.
The gravity gun sped up his clock a little. Looking for this?
I could have saved the world. I could have made everyone see.
If it had mattered to you, Luthor, you could have saved the world years ago.
So, as you can see, there's more to this than meets the eye. Now, we're going to get into some of these other montages. The first one is called Time Tunnel. And it's a series from 1966. And it's about time travel. And the episode we're going to focus on has Lincoln in it.
Is it possible that Lincoln was killed in 1861?
Lincoln is coming through Baltimore and is
All right.
his way to his inauguration.
That would mean someone impersonated him for the next 4 years.
Pause.
We will have the opportunity to kill him within the next 12 hours.
Appearances can be most deceiving, but not in this case, James Kirk. I am Abraham Lincoln.
But you killed him.
There we go. All right. So basically, this is called the Time Tunnel. TTT, right? And that's how they shorten it too. It's kind of. And basically, what it's about is time. And in this particular episode, they basically pretend like there are two Lincolns. And you're going to get what she says here as I play this out. And of course, 66 is the penthouse number that Trump in his penthouse is on at Trump Tower. And we've already proven that association, the number 66, with Trump. In fact, let me play this first, and then I'll show you what else I have here.
1861.
Lincoln is coming through Baltimore on his way to his inauguration.
That would mean someone impersonated him for the next 4 years.
We will have the opportunity to kill him within the next 12 hours.
Appearances can be most deceiving, but not in this case, Jay.
So we're going to pause that there. So basically, this is his grandmother. This is Trump's grandmother. And I want to prove to you that the number 66 is very important. She was born in Bavaria. People always forget that, the Bavarian Illuminati. But more importantly, his grandmother died on 6/6/66. Now, that doesn't give you chills and help you bring pause to what it is we're all doing here. I don't know what does. Who dies on 6/6/66? And basically, she's the one, his grandmother here, is the one who established the Trump family real estate empire. She who basically started it all. Now, this is on his father's side. And on his mother's side, is the McLeod family. We've done a lot of work on the McLeod. Here is the wicked man. So there's some kind of weird 66 associated with the Trump family. And look who his mother was. His mother was Anne Fraser. Kind of sounds like Claire Fraser from Outlander, the Outlander TV series. She was a time traveler too. And remember, the standing stones from that series, Outlander, was literally 14 miles from where Trump's mother was born. And of course, the McLeod clan is from the Isle of Lewis, like Trump's mother, Mary Ann McLeod. And it's weird. She was mugged on Halloween. She can't help them or see them, or all they can do is send them little clues and out of the tunnel, but they really can't reach them to any significant degree. Here's the guys right here. These are the two guys. In this instance, these guys keep getting shuffled around in time like a shuffling deck of cards. They end up in right near the time of the assassination of Lincoln. You just said about there being a clone or two Lincolns. Now, you're going to see two other TV series interdispersed with this one as well that also took place, one of them anyway, in 1966. So the 66 theme is very real. Both have the same subject of Lincoln being a clone. The next part you're going to see is Star Trek Season 3, Episode 22. 3 times 22 is 66, another 66. And the same thing. We have Lincoln appearing. Let's play.
But not in this case, James Kirk. I am Abraham Lincoln.
Would you care to take a look?
And what you're looking at here is from Yankee Ranger. It was a Western series, TV series started in 1958. This is the 1958 television. 1958, and any Lincoln references, because 58 is also a very important number to the Trump family. So, in this particular episode, again, Lincoln is the subject, and there are two Derringer guns instead of one. And they have to use the fact that there are two Derringers instead of the one that killed Lincoln, or supposed to Lincoln. And basically, that helps exonerate Yancey Derringer because there were 2 guns instead of 1. So you always get this aspect of duality. Now, the interesting thing is in this episode, it's 44 calibers, and there are 2 of them. That's 88. Again, they do this.
44 caliber. It's a beautiful little pistol. Just like the gun that killed Lincoln.
Not like, Mr. Colton. The same gun.
The gun that murdered Lincoln with a 44 caliber single-shot muzzle-loading Derringer. Did you ever own such a gun? Yes. 2. For a present from my daddy. For the war. A birthday present he sent to Philadelphia for them. He said that no well-dressed poker player could fill a flush without it. Made in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Spelled with 1 R. My name is spelled with 2. Extraordinary.
Carver's been down through 12 feet of water. The chest isn't there.
12 feet of water. Of course. That well was 20 feet deep when he threw it in. Mr. Williams.
Yes, sir?
Where did you find this chest?
In the old well on the plantation where I flung it in 1861.
It's buried under 8 feet of mud. Thank you, Francine. I'll take care of it. If the prosecution intends to prove that Mr. Derringer owned a brace of 44 caliber pistols, identical in make and model to the assassination weapon, we concede the fact. These will prove conclusively that Derringer could not have sold one of those pistols to John Wilkes Booth.
Mint condition? Never even been fired. You will please notice, sir, the colonel had Marsh Yancey's name engraved on each barrel.
By killing Lincoln here in Baltimore, the Southern secessionists will be blamed.
But it's almost as though the tunnel is making its own projection, independent of the probe on Doug and Tony.
And in revenge, the northern states will invade the South.
Did you fire those shots? Well, I reckon I did. I can't kill rabbits by spitting on them.
Got pockets everywhere. I can pull rabbits out of here.
Rabbits? Well, sure. Yeah.
As far as we can tell, based on our years of research, these portals include So this is basically what this is all about with this next clip that you're going to see from Star Trek.
By the way, love Jake Gyllenhaal.
Mr. President, do you still measure time in minutes? We can convert to it, sir.
I understand President Lincoln's coming aboard, sir.
Full dress uniforms.
Full dress? Presidential honors? What is all this nonsense, Mr. Dickerson?
Mineral, he called it. Like living rock.
Like living rock. Like living rock.
And that became Lincoln. I couldn't tell. Just what was it you locked onto before you beamed him aboard?
Now, the crew of the Enterprise describes the shape-shifting rock, who is basically calling the shots, as living rock, and it's able to shapeshift and transform into other beings, right? And it's probably the one who created the clones, the Lincoln clone, and the other clones that you're going to see, or that you would see in this episode if you were to watch this episode, where they're battling it out between good and evil. And it's weird because living rock is exactly what they call copper. This is an experiment that was done. Copper under the microscope. Is it alive? This was a question some scientists asked themselves when they observed copper particles swimming like a school of fish under the microscope. When physicists Narayan Menon and Vijay Narayan agitated the tiny copper rods in a liquid-filled container, the rods mysteriously aligned themselves and began moving in the same direction, resembling schools of fish. Only copper rods with pinched ends, shaped like rolling pins, exhibited the unique swarming motion. So, copper is the living rock. Let's keep watching here. Now, you remember yesterday we did a video showing you the magnets, strong magnets, and how they react to copper. And it's very interesting because time seems to slow down. And I wonder, you see all these experiments on YouTube, people with a copper pipe, a long copper pipe, and they drop a magnet, a special kind of magnet, I forgot what it's called. They drop it down the copper pipe. When they drop that magnet down through the pipe, the magnet slows down. And I wonder if you had two perfectly synchronized atomic watches and you attached one to the magnet before dropping it through the pipe and you held the other in your hand, if you would notice a difference in the phase shift of time. We already know that when you get into an airplane and you fly at super high speeds holding an atomic clock, and then you land and compare that atomic clock to the people on the ground, we know that that clock is different. It's a minute amount, but it's different. And I'm wondering if copper has the same effects. Now, I don't have the materials to do this. I don't have an atomic wristwatch or anything like that. But if any of you have those materials and you want to try that experiment, please do it and send me the video and I'll post it. But basically, what is this all about? Is this about the magnetic field, like Lex Luthor just said? Let's keep watching. All right.
His kindness, his gentle wisdom, his humor, everything about him is so right. I cannot conceive it possible that Abraham Lincoln could have actually been reincarnated.
Mr. Scott.
What a charming negress. Oh, forgive me, my dear.
You see, in our century, we've learned not to fear words.
I know that in my time some use that term as a description of property.
But why should I object to that term, sir?
I am observing the alien.
Now, it's interesting because, as you just heard,
Well, at least somebody agrees with us he's an alien.
Yes, of course he's an alien.
And he's potentially dangerous.
It is a magnificent work of duplication.
And slings and spears. Slings. Mr. President, you used a sling as a boy. Indeed, I did.
To use a sling as a boy. Indeed, I did.
It was so hard for me to see him die again.
Captain Kirk, the planet...
All right. Next montage. Now, what this is a Saturday Night Live skit, another one about Lincoln, right? So we had the Baldwin skit about Lincoln, and now we've got this skit about Lincoln.
People are aware that Lincoln was one of our first.
I want you to watch and listen.
Time travelers.
Well, you know what they say about good things happening to those who wait.
But only the things left behind by those who hustle, he said.
Mary!
is that?
I might as well tell you, it's a time machine.
So, I also interwove this montage with some clips from the film Predestination about time travel, and in Predestination they mention Lincoln again. Now, what we had discovered on this channel was that most of these time machines that are mentioned in film history all have a component of copper to them. A lot of copper, not just little bits and pieces of copper, made out of copper, basically. And that's no different than what you're looking at now. Let's keep watching. As I guess we could say that on YouTube. And that's part of this. As Lincoln basically cross-dresses, and we saw the same thing in Predestination, the film. The time-traveling character basically is male and... What's up with this? Well, there's something to it, right? Obviously.
Excuse me, Sonny. Are you John Wilkes Booth?
Oh, yes, I
It was a quote by Abraham Lincoln.
Yes? John Wilkes Booth?
Yes, sir, that's me. Thanks.
Who are you?
Darling, these past few days have been wonderful, but it's not that I don't love you anymore. I do. If I could, I would make you Mrs. John Wilkes Booth. All my life I've been pursued by this stranger who keeps trying to kill me.
Well, you know what they say about good things happening to those who wait.
But only the things left behind by those who hustle, he said.
Oh, he is a depraved and evil man. Tall and dark with a sinister top hat and a demonic beard. Hey! What are you doing? Wait a minute. You again!
What, are you gonna play for me?
No, I'm gonna play the past. This is a USFF Coordinates Transformer Field Kit. No moving parts. It weighs approximately 6 kilos, fully charged. I've adjusted it to support our body mass.
Abraham Lincoln was shot and killed by John Wilkes Booth on April 14, 1865.
It will calculate a discrete arrival location and avoid any materialization collisions.
In Lincoln's pockets, doctors found a blackjack, some piano wire, and several sticks of dynamite.
So what is it?
It's a device that creates a temporal wake.
A what?
It's a time machine.
Okay, so when they time travel is the 5th of November, and we've exposed this. This is in the witch's calendar. This is when the veil is lowest. This is when they're able to basically give their sacrifice to their god and basically create a tear in the veil, or they're shown things by demonic powers. And so I would equate this to like looking through crystal balls. Now, some of you were the ones that noticed this pattern actually that repeats in the release dates of several time travel films. And this storyline in Predestination is about Ethan Hawke. He meets himself or herself in time in two other versions in stages of his life, different age ranges of his life. And basically he's a time traveler sent by the government to stop a bomber who ends up becoming himself. And the handler, Ethan Hawke's handler in this film, explains that he's one of a kind. And that reminded me of the Highlander films. But watch this. You're going to see how many of these other time travel films released on the 5th of November. Matrix Revolutions. Interstellar. This is from Dark.
Are you all my personal dreams?
It was a quote by Abraham Lincoln.
To close your eyes. Why do I need to close my eyes? You're here to create history and influence what is to come. You are more than an agent, you're a gift, given to the world through a predestination paradox.
It was a quote by Abraham Lincoln.
You're the only one, free from history, ancestry.
You're the only one. You're the only one.
There can be only one.
You're the only one.
I've been alive for 4.5 centuries. I cannot die. I am Conor MacLeod of the Clan MacLeod. I was born in 1518 in the village of Glenfinnan on the shores of Loch Shiel.
You're the only one.
There can be only one.
You're the only one.
I've been alive for 4.5 centuries. I cannot die. I am Conor MacLeod of the Clan MacLeod. I was born in 1518 in the village of Glenfinnan on the shores of Loch Shiel.
And there's that number 88 again, right? Christopher Lambert, born on the 29th of March, the 88th day of the year. That's not an accident. He is the Highlander. Now, it's interesting because Trump actually invited the Highlander, the guy who wrote the book, The Highlander, up to his penthouse or his office.
I am immortal. I am Conor MacLeod of the Clan MacLeod. I am Conor MacLeod of the Clan MacLeod. Conor MacLeod of the Clan MacLeod.
The snake that eats its own tail forever and ever. The rooster. The rooster. The rooster. The rooster. The rooster.
So, obviously you heard him there talk about